Alright, so I started out with this canopy from Harbor Freight Tools. You guys see that? It's one of these canopy things that everybody buys, and I wanted a permanent building, but you know, to buy a steel building for the size, it was going to cost me like $2 grand, $1,500, something like that, and plus then the poles might be too big. So I built this building right here, and I'm going to show you guys how I did it with this Harbor Freight Tools setup. So these are called Pbr Panels, okay, and they are in 3-foot sections. You can see right here where they overlap, and they overlap up there and over at the top. And I'll show you from the inside so it's a little easier to see. So what I did is, if this looks familiar, you've seen the Harbor Freight Tools pole setup. Is I wanted to be under the 120 square foot limit. So 120 square feet is the limit for where I live, for a building without a permit. So, and out here they do not allow steel buildings except when they're 120 square feet or less. So here's what I did. I got the Harbor Freight Tools setup they have. It's, like 179 with a coupon, all right? And I used the poles from that, okay? And if you guys might notice that the tent is 17 by 10, and the slab I have here is 8 feet wide by 15, which is 120 square feet. And the reason I wanted this is because it wouldn't take up a lot of my space. Those other ones are a little wider. If I bought a steel building, plus it's a lot cheaper to do it this way. And yeah, it's really sturdy. It wouldn't fall over. I don't think you could blow it over unless you had like 100+ mile-an-hour winds. Then I think almost anything could blow over. But yeah, what I did is I actually narrowed this thing. So I'm going to show you guys how I did that if you're trying to do the same thing, or you can just buy the Pbr panels and put them on your frame, but you're going to need to do some improvements to it and make sure that you put a back wall on. That's one of the big things. And also this gable end here, so strengthens it up a lot. So what I did is I needed to take a foot out of the top, and then if you notice that they kind of go down at an angle, the Harbor Freight Tools ones do, and I need to straighten it up. So what I did is I cut 6 inches out of each side. 6 inches out of each side, and those are actually Emt Conduit connectors for 1 1/4 inch. So I cut them out. It looked like this. I cut a 6-inch section like this out. Then the coupler slid over here, and it slides over this pipe, and looks like that. And then I screwed them in place. So I did put a sheet metal screw in them too, so they don't come apart. All right, on all the things. So that narrowed it a foot at the top. And then, if you look here, it's pretty it's pretty much level. It's straight. It's plumb. And all I did was I used all their existing stuff, these things here and these things here, and what I did is I hammer drilled and put a red head in. So I used a 3/8 red head, put it into place, and hammer drilled a hole, hammered the red head in, tightened them up, and then put the posts in here. And then I just bent them just by pushing it very easily into, so I mount one side, and then the other side I just put the foot on and then push it into place, hammer drill the hole, put the red head in. So the same thing, I did this one this direction so you can drive in, and I did this one over here this direction for sway a little bit to help out with that. Now, if you were really worried about heavy snow loads or something like that, you might want to just put in your rafters up high, or you could put them down low at, you know, whatever that is about. That's about 6'8" where those are. So that's high enough for most garage doors are usually 6'8", and you can walk underneath that. So I need a little bit higher height than that for something I'm putting in here. So I went ahead and did a little bit more than that. I went and made this a little higher, see, another foot higher, so that I can get a van in here with a rack on top. So anyway, trying to remember all the stuff. So what is a PBR panel? Okay, a PBR panel, I found these on Craigslist direct from the manufacturer. They do take a little bit of work to find, and they are 3 feet from here to here, you know, 3 feet usable feet. The bottom one you're going to need to cut a piece and put on if you do the same thing I did. And the ends, so I got these already made up in 15-foot sections. You can buy them at Home Depot, but you're going to pay more. I got them direct from the manufacturer. Look for a sheet metal place and then look up PBR panels. Not everybody knows, even the guys who had them, they didn't even know what they were. They didn't even know they were PBR panels. So it was a sheet metal place I found on Craigslist, and there's actually 2 manufacturers right within 50 miles of where I live. And so they're all over the place. There's these, and how they make these things is, what they do is they have a big roll of sheet metal, and this is actually what they call galvalume, which is not regular galvanized, not hot galvanized, but you could actually paint this fairly easily. What they do is they take this roll of sheet metal, and then they have a big machine that stamps it. So they take a roll, they cut out they lay out a section, cut it to the right length. So they'll cut it right to 15, 14, 16, 12, whatever you tell them. If you get it directly from them, if you get it from Home Depot, they're only going to say, "Oh, we can only order 16s." So you'll get something a little bit different if you go direct to the manufacturer. They can make it to whatever length you want. They cut it, they shear it, and then stamp it. So then it's exactly the right length. So I got mine right to 15 feet. And then I got exactly 8 feet cut in the front, but of course you have to trim that to make it fit. So they also have a edge piece that can go on here, a piece of L metal. You could use regular roof flashing if you wanted to get the brown stuff or whatever. I actually have some around here somewhere, and I've yet to find it. We put it away wherever that is. I have a pretty large facility here, so I got to figure out where away was. Wherever away was, that's where they are, and I'll find them. But then I'll put corner edging on all this, so then you won't see this ugly holes and all that stuff there. So it's just an idea for you guys that are, you know, trying to have winter storage, or, you know, keep your cars out of the sun or something. Being that this is 8 feet, you can only put a smaller car in here. I don't think a full-size car. I mean, it would be really tight. You'd have to like climb out the window. You could probably do it. So you could do this to 9 feet though, doing the same thing by not cutting out those. So if you wanted to go 9 feet and you have a 124 square foot limit, you'd have to go to what, like 14 by 9? I'm not sure. You know, I'm not that good with math, so. But I'm just trying to say you could figure that out, and then you could come up with a measurement that you need for, you know, your car or whatever you want to store. If maybe it's a tractor, you know, maybe whatever. If you know, figure out what you want to do, because you can go 9 feet by just eliminating those, and then go 9 feet to the bottom and still have a nice vertical wall, versus having, you know, the tapered out walls. I just didn't like the tapered out because it's useless. If the tapered out part, I got it wider on the bottom, I'm actually using more square foot of land, and I'm not really getting anything from it. So it's better if I go vertical. So you can just do that by just leaving the middles the same and actually just getting one side mounted and then pushing the other one in, and it just goes right straight. It finds its way to look like this. So anyway, it's just an idea for you guys if you guys are looking for a steel building. Just so you know, my rough costs, these were, it's $179 for the kit. The Pbr panels were, I was trying to think, it was $360, and then about $25 for the screws, because you need to put all these screws with these have a rubber washer on them so they don't leak. So this building won't leak either, other than the holes in the ends, which will be covered up with those other pieces. And then if you wanted to get rid of that, you could actually use spray foam inside those. And if you wanted the building to be insulated, I have another video on that if you look on my channel. But you just use that, you can get the 1/2-inch foam. And they have the high density foam, was the best one. And you just glue it right to this, and then that's easy. And it has a nice finish. You can actually, if you wanted to, you could actually screw drywall to here too. So if you really wanted to go nuts with it, you could. I would not put a lot of heavy drywall in here. I would refrain from doing that because you're going to add all that weight, and then, you know, I'm not an engineer, so whatever you do to do this, if you decide you want to do it at your own risk. There's to me, this is pretty strong, but the engineer might tell you different. So I don't know if it's wind, how much wind it'll take, how much earthquake it'll take. I imagine it would probably take pretty much anything. I'm not worried about it at all. I get 80-mile-an-hour winds every once in a while, and I'm not worried about it. So it's pretty strong for me. So anyway, all right. So that's it for the Harbor Freight Tools temporary shelter turn to a permanent shelter. Talk to you in the next video.